Three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Buddha. Welcome back to Herstory, the series where I showcase female rapists, domestic violence perpetrators, and other female criminals. In this episode, we're going to be focusing on feminist attorney Gloria Allred. Gloria was born to a working-class family in Pennsylvania. She got her bachelor's in 1963 with honors, got her master's in 1966, then attended Loyola University School of Law, and was admitted to California State Bar in 1975. She founded her own law firm in 1976, which is still in business today, over 40 years later. As of 2012, The Richest reports that she's worth over $20 million. According to Law Crossing, Gloria is a 3-time Emmy nominee for her commentaries on KABC television in Los Angeles. She was also nominated for an Emmy in 2011 for her syndicated television show, We the People with Gloria Allred. Time magazine labeled Gloria one of the nation's most effective advocates for family rights and feminist causes. In 1990, Los Angeles Magazine called her one of the 30 most powerful people in Los Angeles. And in 1994, one of the 50 most interesting people in Los Angeles. Articles written by or about Gloria have been published in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, Time Magazine, the Daily News, the American Lawyer, the Herald Examiner, Miss Magazine, the London Times, LA Magazine, and Elle, just to name a few. Gloria has won many distinguished awards. She was awarded the President's Award by the National Association of Women Lawyers. In 1986, President Ronald Reagan awarded Gloria the 1986 President's Volunteer Action Award. As an attorney, Gloria focused her practice on targeting and publicly demonizing rich and successful men, then shaming them into large legal settlements. Often, her feminist bigotry receives coordinated material support from large feminist organizations and leaders by virtue of these groups speaking out in support of her cash grabs while they're happening, raising public awareness to fuel these witch hunts. A notable example is the wildly successful campaign against Bill Cosby. Law Crossing further reports that in the last 10 years alone, she and her firm have won more than $250 million. While these facts clearly demonstrate Gloria as one of the most powerful attorneys in the United States, they also reveal a very inconvenient and irrefutable truth. Gloria's background proves that even in the 1960s, when feminists were screaming that they were being systemically discriminated against, a self-made woman from a humble upbringing could and did create a career to become a multimillionaire and one of the most powerful people in the United States. Gloria's life story and fantastically successful career by itself completely debunks the feminist lie of gender-based oppression. However, that's not the focus of this story. You see, Gloria often accepts clients for cases that she knows have no merit, and her narcissism and entitlement knows no limit. On December 3, 2014, the Huffington Post published the article, Gloria Allred suggests Bill Cosby waive statute of limitations as 2 more women step forward. In it, they report, in a Wednesday, December 3rd press conference, feminist attorney Gloria Allred addressed Bill Cosby with 3 of his accusers by her side. Allred threw down the gauntlet, asking Cosby to either waive the statute of limitations on allegations that more than 20 women have brought against him, or set up a $100 million account for his accusers and let a panel of retired judges review the claims. The Huffington Post reports Cosby's then attorney, Martin D. Singer, responded, and they report his attorney, Martin D. Singer, gave a statement to the Huffington Post on November 21, calling the recent slew of allegations unsubstantiated, fantastical stories about things they say occurred 30, 40, or even 50 years ago have escalated far past the point of absurdity. His statement also targeted news outlets, calling the coverage of these claims an unprecedented example of the media's breakneck rush to run stories without any corroboration or adherence to traditional journalistic standards. Singer's right. This is garbage, and it's irresponsible for journalists and other news outlets to publish stories completely devoid of verifiable facts. Because of the epidemic of fake news reporting, the public confidence in traditional news outlets is at an all-time low. Then, 2 years later, on October 10, 2017, Gloria's law firm released a press release regarding the Weinstein Me Too campaign and stated, "A number of accusers have contacted me about their allegations, but I have to inform them that the statute of limitations, that arbitrary time period set by law, has expired and is therefore too late for them to assert a legal claim. Mr. Weinstein could, however, decide that he would like to resolve these allegations, and waive and agree not to assert the statute of limitations. That is exactly what we believe he should do. Mr. Weinstein may believe that some of these claims are false, or he may believe that some of these claims are true. He may believe that he has not had his day in court on these allegations and that he has not been treated fairly. Many women who allege that they are his victims feel the same way. I believe that there is a way to provide justice for these alleged victims and for Mr. Weinstein. I am inviting him to agree to engage in an arbitration of these claims with these alleged victims and agree upon a retired judge. The women could present their claims of sexual harassment, and Mr. Weinstein could present his defense. If the judge finds in favor of the victims, the judge could award damages according to proof at trial. If Mr. Weinstein prevails, he would be able to announce the result to the public. In the alternative, he could also agree to a confidential mediation process to resolve these claims. Even in her press release, Allred admits that her clients don't have a legal leg to stand on, yet she admits to panhandle and harassing these successful men anyway. At best, this is legal incompetence. At worst, it's discrimination against men using a false legal pretense to extort money, especially since she knows her clients' cases are frivolous on their face and can't pass the straight-face test. Even if she didn't know better and was just ignorant, this appears to be a potential violation of the State of California Bar Association's Rules of Professional Conduct, specifically Rule 3-110, Failing to Act Competently, which states, A. A member shall not intentionally, recklessly, or repeatedly fail to perform legal services with competence. B. For purposes of this rule, competence in any legal service shall mean to apply the 1. Diligence, 2. Learning and skill, and 3. Mental, emotional, and physical ability reasonably necessary for the performance of such service. Further, when she attempted to persuade Cosby and Weinstein to waive the statute of limitations defenses, she may have also violated Rule 3-210 of the Bar Association's Rules on Professional Conduct, which states, a member shall not advise the violation of any law, rule, or ruling of a tribunal unless the member believes in good faith that such a law, rule, or ruling is invalid. A member may take appropriate steps in good faith to test the validity of any law, rule, or ruling of a tribunal. Even worse, Allred uses her press conferences and public statements to falsely accuse men of crimes without any evidence to manipulate not only the public opinion, but to pressure law enforcement agencies to open investigations in a clear effort to gain an advantage and a cash payout for her clients through civil settlements. This appears to violate Rule 5-100, threatening criminal, administrative, or disciplinary charges of the Rules of Professional Conduct, which states, A. A member shall not threaten to present criminal, administrative, or disciplinary charges to obtain an advantage in a civil dispute. B. As used in paragraph A of this rule, the term administrative charges means the filing or lodging of a complaint with a federal, state, or local government entity which may order or recommend the loss or suspension of license, or may impose or recommend the imposition of a fine, pecuniary action, or any other sanction of a quasi-criminal nature, but does not include the filing of charges with an administrative entity required by law as a condition precedent to maintaining a civil action. C. As used in paragraph A of this rule, the term civil dispute means a controversy or potential controversy over the rights and duties of two or more parties under civil law, whether or not an action has been commenced, and includes an administrative proceeding of quasi-civil nature pending before a federal, state, or local governmental entity. Most recently, Allred became the attorney for Beverly Young Nelson, an elderly woman who accused Judge Roy Moore of sexually assaulting her when she was in high school. Yet apparently, she decided to wait until she was older than Yoda to make her allegations public. However, like every other false rape accuser, Nelson had no evidence to speak of, with the sole exception of a yearbook that included a note purportedly written and signed by Judge Moore. However, once images from the 1977 yearbook were produced, Moore cried foul because the signature on the yearbook included the initials D.A. D.A. stands for Delbert Adams, Judge Moore's judicial assistant who started working for him 10 years later in 1987. Moore linked it to a signature on Nelson's 1999 divorce document. Delbert Adams had signed his order for him and included her initials after his signature to identify that she had done so. When the reporter spoke to Adams, she confirmed that yes, the signature was actually hers. Even more damning, on December 8, 2017, the New York Post reported in its article, Roy Moore Accuser Admits to Altering Yearbook Entry, that Nelson admitted to altering the yearbook entry, calling its entire credibility into question. Now, Gloria Allred is refusing to release the yearbook to forensic examiners. Breitbart reports on December 8, 2017 in its article, Exclusive, Handwriting Expert Touted by Washington Post Turns on Gloria Allred, Calls for Activist Attorney to Release Yearbook. In the report, they state, the forensic document examiner, Mark Songer, a former FBI agent, also called for Nelson's attorney, activist Gloria Allred, to release the original yearbook to all parties for examination, and I think it's only fair. It shouldn't be hidden or anything like that, in my opinion. He stated that it was only about an hour, or possibly less, from the time he was originally contacted by the Post by email until he gave the newspaper his opinion. That window also included the period of time he spent looking at the online image. It wasn't an analysis, Songer stressed. It was just my observations of whether or not the writings looked like they were prepared by one person or multiple people. Songer said that he explained to the Post that in order to conduct a full examination, I would need writings from Mr. Moore, writings from the accuser, so it was just a very limited on-the-surface examination. Songer wasn't able to offer any assessment of the validity of the inscription, which is precisely the point. There is not enough information at hand for an outside observer to make such an evaluation. So in reality, not only were Nelson's sexual assault accusations unsupported by any evidence, it's clear the document she provided as evidence is forged, at least in part. Forgery is a criminal felony in every state in the United States and under federal law. I believe Nelson should be charged for it. Also, Allred should be charged as an accessory to commit fraud and attempting to unethically extort money from Judge Moore. Not only is this my opinion, but it's shared, at least in spirit, by Richard Kelsey, editor-in-chief of The Committed Conservative, who's also an attorney and a former assistant law school dean and law professor. He stated in late November 2017, Gloria Allred is a shyster and a snake oil saleswoman. She's a carnival barker and a profiteer. She's a publicity hound and an unrepentant self-promoter. As a lawyer, Allred is apparently incompetent and unethical. Ms. Nelson has no civil case of action against Moore. Likewise, Moore faces no prosecution on the Nelson case, as the statute of limitations prevents any action against Moore on these 40-year-old allegations. If Ms. Allred did not properly vet these allegations and did not have the yearbook authenticated by real experts prior to using it as a political prop, all Allred has done is open her client up to possible civil and criminal exposure. That's the very definition of incompetence. In addition, it appears Ms. Allred didn't check the facts on these Nelson allegations, and she purposefully avoided doing so to score political points and to gain publicity. That means she put her interests ahead of those of her client. That's the very definition of unethical behavior. If you just want to hire someone to get press for themselves, and possibly leaving you facing criminal charges or civil liability, call Ms. Allred, assuming she isn't soon disbarred. As you can see, Gloria Allred has an established pattern of not only being a dishonest feminist, she's also an unethical attorney who uses her power and position to shame successful men to extort money from them. Given that this is a clear pattern of behavior, I believe, in good faith, that there's enough to open both a bar investigation and criminal investigation into her misconduct and potential crimes. I also believe this provides ample evidence to support opening up her past legal settlements to ensure she didn't violate the rules of professional ethics or commit any criminal offenses to extort money from the men she's targeted in those cases also. Additionally, while I believe Allred deserves to be held accountable for her actions, every feminist organization and individual who supported her unethical witch hunts and discrimination against men should be held accountable also. However, we already know that these authorities who are in a position to bring accountability to the table are thirsty cucks and will instead white knight for Allred and other feminist bigots like her. So, if you're a successful man and targeted by false allegations, my personal opinion is that you should defend yourself, get an attorney, and sue them into the Stone Ages. If you're a man not accused, you should accept the brutal reality that feminism has destroyed the social contract between men and women, and until either society collapses or eradicates feminism, the safest way forward as a man is to avoid commitment, cohabitation, or marriage to a woman. If you've enjoyed this video and found it educational or insightful, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. You can also support my research on Patreon. And in case I'm targeted by YouTube, I also mirror all my content on Bitchute. All the links are in the description. I'm DDJ, and this has been your dose of misandry today.